我都32岁了，可是我还没有遇到想
I'm already 32 years old, but I still haven't met someone I truly want to marry. For a man, 32 might be the brightest time in his life, but for a woman, it feels like the darkest, because I'm standing at a crossroads of life choices. Every day I wonder, should I settle for someone I don't really love just for the sake of marriage? If my future turns out unhappy, if life becomes nothing but a mess, and I have children, will my child end up hating me? If I don't marry, I could live freely and unrestrained for the rest of my life. But what if, when I'm old, I have no one to rely on, and I end up lonely until death? Will I regret it then? I really don't have a good answer to this question. I'm often torn, crying through the night, not knowing where my future lies. All I can think of is, no matter what I choose, ahead of me is nothing but endless fear. If you spend enough time on Chinese social media, especially the platforms where people go to vent their private thoughts, you'll notice a pattern among many women who are now in their 30s and 40s. These are women who, 10 or 15 years ago, might have brushed off marriage proposals, ignored men who were interested in them, or felt like they had endless time to choose the perfect partner. But now the tone has changed. Many of them are openly admitting that they feel a deep loneliness, and some even get emotional while sharing their feelings online. It's not uncommon to see a video of a woman holding back tears as she talks about wanting someone to come home to, someone who cares about her, someone who won't let her feel like she's facing life alone. Girls really should get married and have children earlier. The older you get, the harder it becomes. Let me give you a very real example. I'm already 28 this year. Every day after work when I come home, this 4-bedroom apartment is completely empty. There's not a single person here. Look at this storage room, it's such a mess. There's no one to help me clean up. No one cooks for me. The fridge is stuffed full, but since I'm not good at cooking, most of the food just sits there until it goes bad. I can't do anything about it, so I end up eating out all the time. But eating junk food every day has left me malnourished and extremely skinny, not even 90 jin 45 kg. My life is messy, too. I'm just too lazy, I don't like tidying up. At night, I get so scared sleeping alone that I had to get a rabbit just to keep me company. Even my salary, there's no one to help me spend it. So I just buy lots of random clothes with no taste, just buying aimlessly. My free time is extremely boring. All I can do is read a little, watch dramas, practice yoga. Sometimes I go out alone for a walk to clear my head. I don't even have anyone to take pictures for me, so I can only use a tripod to take them myself. What's striking is how raw and unfiltered many of these confessions are. Chinese culture has always emphasized saving face, maintaining dignity, and not showing vulnerability in public. Yet here are women, sometimes well-dressed professionals with stable jobs, sitting in front of their phone cameras at night after work, pouring their hearts out. They talk about how it feels to scroll through endless wedding photos of former classmates, to attend gatherings where everyone else brings a spouse and children, to return to an empty apartment where the silence is heavy. You can sense their frustration when they admit that they once thought they had plenty of choices, but now feel as if no one is truly looking at them anymore. Do you know what really makes older single women break down? Just now, a 35-year-old woman sent me a message. She said she deeply regrets it. She had just celebrated her 35th birthday, yet the blind date partners her family introduces to her all complain that she's too old. The matchmaker even introduced her to a man she was very interested in. But in the end, he rejected her too. If that man had chosen someone with better family background, better looks, or better overall conditions than hers, she said she could at least accept it. But instead, he chose someone who wasn't as good as her in those aspects, just younger. A girl who had only graduated from university for 1 or 2 years. She said that moment completely crushed her. Is age really that important? If that's the case, then hasn't her long-held belief that only by making herself better could she meet a more perfect man been proven wrong? Because when she finally became better, men still didn't want her. So what's the point of a new year like this? Friends, what do you think about this woman's story? Is her way of thinking really wrong? The desperation is not always loud. It often shows up in quiet details. A woman might mention how she bought 2 sets of dishes when she first moved into her apartment years ago, thinking one day she'd have someone to eat with, but one set remains unused. Another might talk about going grocery shopping, wanting to cook a nice meal, but realizing that cooking for one just feels empty. There are also stories of women keeping the lights on in their living rooms late at night, just so the apartment doesn't feel so lonely. These little admissions reveal more than the words themselves. They reveal a hunger for companionship, for intimacy, for the simple comfort of another human presence. I don't want to go looking for a partner. Sometimes it really feels so difficult. I just want to pursue my own life and live the way I want. Up until now, I still haven't met someone I feel is truly worth entrusting myself to. Honestly, many times, under the pressure from my parents, I've had fleeting thoughts of compromising, but I feel like I just can't do it. Sometimes the emotions spill over. There are videos where women cry openly while speaking. They might apologize for crying, saying they know it looks pitiful, but the emotions overwhelm them. One middle-aged woman admitted in a live stream that she never used to believe in crying over love or loneliness. But now, she sometimes breaks down when she sees couples holding hands in the park. Another woman in her late 30s confessed that she scrolls through dating apps not really expecting to find someone, but just to remind herself that maybe, somewhere out there, someone might still want her. The irony is that many of these women are successful by material standards. They have jobs, apartments, financial independence. But the one thing they crave, a genuine relationship, seems harder to obtain than anything else. Hello to everyone, I'm not Lee Zukin, and I'm not Lu Kao either. As for who I am, let's put that question aside for now. It's the National Day holiday now, right? Are your parents attending one wedding banquet in the morning and another one in the afternoon? If you're still single, I want to ask, when they come back from the weddings, do they get upset with you, give you the cold shoulder, make sarcastic remarks, or complain about you? If they do those things, I'd like to know, how do you deal with it? Here's what I told my dad. I said marriage doesn't really mean much. Some of my classmates got married, then divorced, then remarried, and then divorced again. And then my dad said, if marriage is so meaningless, how can people get married twice? Honestly, I think what my dad said isn't wrong. I actually felt kind of convinced by him. So now, I want to ask those older brothers and sisters who have already been married, how does marriage actually work? Let's set aside the second marriage question for now. What I really want to know is, how do you deal with the dizziness of the first one? Chinese netizens sometimes mock these emotional confessions, calling the women shengnu or leftover women, a harsh label that has followed unmarried women in their 30s for years. But behind the ridicule, there's a very real human story. When you see a woman break down during a live stream, begging the universe for just one person to love her sincerely, it's difficult not to feel a sense of empathy. Loneliness has a way of stripping away pride. No matter how accomplished someone is, when the apartment is silent and the bed is empty, the sense of isolation becomes overwhelming. Damn, I think I've really been single for too long. I've gone lopsided, even gone a bit crazy. Has no one noticed how domineering that little voice message button on WeChat is? Hold to talk, release to send. It's like, stand up. Sit down. Doesn't anyone else think that's super bossy? You hold to talk, fine. But then they even add that little pause in the middle, so now whenever I send a voice message, I feel all shy about it. When you finish, you have to release to send. Damn, really, I've been single so long I've gone kind of nuts. I actually feel like it's so domineering, so cool, so attractive.